Just as I press record, she lays down, so cute, so comfy. But we are about to dive into this pile because when I tell you this has been sitting, staring at me for a week, literally since the last time I filmed this, I then put in a whole new load and here we are. We're back at it again, the pile. It never really goes away. How you guys doing? Today, we're just gonna do a little bit of thought vomit. I was trying to think about like a specific story or like subject to talk about and my mind was like, which has been like that for quite some time now. Does that come with age? Does that come with being on YouTube for 13 years? Who knows, but here we are. I was not going to not turn on the camera and record, and I was not going to not attack this pile of laundry. Truth be told, I have been consuming so much Bachelor content, and it hasn't even started. It starts tonight. This will go up on Tuesday, so last night. And I already feel that my brain is like melting as I think about it, and I'm so excited for the premiere tonight, but I can only imagine like where my brain will go as the next, what is it, like 3 months? I feel like the season goes on for like 3 months, where my brain will end up after consuming so much content, because not only do I watch the show, which again premieres tonight, but then I follow a few different like Bachelor podcasts and YouTube accounts, and then I go down like those rabbit holes. And so if you guys saw, I did the Nick Viall show, last week, and we covered like 15 of the contestants. So we basically like went through their bios and we gave our opinions based on literally like this much text and then their photo. And he had done an episode previously of the other 15 contestants, because there are 30 contestants, which always blows my mind. I forget that going into the season. Like, I think he said his was the first season where they brought on that many contestants. Like, that's a lot of people to pick through. So anyways, I did that, and so I started like getting excited about all the contestants and started getting excited about the show, which every season I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna do it, it's too much. And then the minute I like see anything or get involved with his podcast, I'm like totally sucked in. And so then I moved over to the Chatty Broads. Well, they were formerly the Chatty Broads, and I've talked about them before. It was like Becca from The Bachelor, Ari season, and her friend Jess, and they had like, I think they had a good run of like 3 years of this podcast and YouTube channel where they would do Bachelor reviews, weekly reviews and stuff. And now Becca left and Jess is on to doing a show still under the Chatty Broads YouTube channel, but now it's with her husband, who I really, really like. I think that they're really fun together, and I like their dynamic, and they're just like really positive, and I feel like they're just like excited to be there. And I think their show and their channel, well, the channel again is still Chatty Broads, but I think their show is called Mom and Dad or something. Your Mom and Dad. Anyhow, they did their first Bachelor themed episode, doing the same thing that we did on Nick's podcast, but they had on another couple who has a channel called Game of Roses, and they did a, sorry, this is such a long-winded story, but I'm getting there. They did a like reaction to all the contestants as well, but they had on, like I said, Game of Roses, so there was 4 of them, and they did all 30 of the contestants in one episode, and it was a 3-hour-long episode. Needless to say, I didn't watch it all in one sitting, but I feel like over the last 3 days when I'm like cooking dinner or doing chores, hi little baby, I will turn that on. So I just feel like my brain has been fully consumed with talk of Bachelor and Bachelor contestants. So maybe that's why it's like, but you know what? Once in a while, I gotta just kind of tune out and tune into something kind of fluffy and fun and slightly mindless, and that's my version of it. Let me know in the comments below. We'll do questions at the end, but question number one will be, what reality show are you just like, you're just like gaga for? You know what I mean? Everyone's got one. We were out to dinner. By the way, we went to Benihana's this weekend, which was so fun. I don't know why we haven't been there like literally forever, but we keep saying we wanted to go. We finally went. We went with 2 other couples, and it was so silly and so fun and so delicious. They also give you so much food. We got shrimp, and I am pretty sure they gave us like 3 pounds of shrimp each. It was nuts, and I tanked pretty much all of it. I was very proud of myself. But I was asking one of my girlfriends who I know loves like reality TV. I was like, oh, are you watching The Bachelor? Because I'm trying to find like a friend to talk to about it. Which is why in the end, spoiler alert, she doesn't, and you're stuck with me yapping about it. Thank you. But she's like, no, I don't have time for any of that. I'm too busy with all my TLC shows. She's like old school, and she still does like all the TLC shows. And she also told me that Millionaire Matchmaker is back on, which I did not know. And why is it not being advertised more? I'm not on TikTok, so maybe it's being advertised there. But I was shocked and very excited to hear that, because I very much love that show. And fun fact, I went on to Millionaire Matchmaker dates. I wasn't on the show. This was in my 20s. I don't know if I've ever told this. This is actually a fun story time. I don't know if I've ever told this before. The show was on, and so I knew of the service, and I was like, I don't want to be like on the show. Like, I'm trying to be a legit actress, but I am single, and I ain't mad about the idea of perhaps meeting a millionaire. Well, I signed up for the service. I can't remember the interview process. I definitely know I didn't meet Patty, but I feel like I had to go through a few interviews on the phone, send in pictures. Did I have to meet someone in person? Goodness, I don't remember all the details. So long ago. But I then got like in the database, and then they called me and they're like, oh my God, we have like the perfect someone for you. And they like try to like hype you up on the person. Meanwhile, before you go, they give you, have I told this story before? If you've heard this before, let me know. It must have been years since I would have told this story. Meanwhile, they send you like, and she talks about it on the show, they send you like these rules. I'm curious if they've changed, but it's like, he must pick you up. You can't talk about politics. You can't talk about religion. You can't, like on the first date, you can't talk about all these like maybe controversial topics. You can't have more than 2 drinks, which she was talking to the wrong person, because I surely did not listen to that rule back then. Anyway, so the first person I went to, they took me to Boa, which I feel like all the like young YouTuber TikTok stars, you always see them there. I don't know if it's still popular, but at least a couple years ago it was. They're always like paparazzi there. Like that's where they go to this like nice steak dinner. And gosh, the details are like not obviously as sharp anymore. I think he was like really nice, but like he was in like IT or something. And spoiler, it comes to find out a lot of those like very wealthy people in that service, at least what I was being introduced to, were like total like tech people that like didn't get out very much. And we're having trouble meeting people. Which, listen, I actually think a matchmaker service is fantastic. I am all about online dating. I think it's really hard in general to meet people, especially now with the pandemic. I think like using dating apps and stuff is great, because then you can really vet people. But I think because it was a service and I didn't really have any say and control over like vetting the people, they were doing it for you, it was just like not the right match. And like the second very nice, safe, the whole thing. And then like the second person was very similar, where I was like, whoa, we have like literally nothing in common, and I feel like you haven't been out of the house in like a decade, but thank you. And that was the end. I was like, okay, you know what, this is just not necessarily for me. So anyways, that's to say, my friend going back at Benihana this weekend was like, oh, I'm all about that TLC life. And then she told me about The Millionaire Matchmaker. So that was like her jam. And I know people are really into like the Housewives. It's like, I mean, you can watch them all. If you are really dedicated, you can watch all of the reality TV. But for me, I like I said, it kind of melts my brain in a good way, but I have to like put a cap on it. So I did see that Love Island is coming back, or it already started, but now it's gonna hit Hulu. And I was interested in that, but I feel like I can only handle so much in a week. So I'm giving myself The Bachelor, and that's gonna be that. So anyways, that's what tonight is, and that's what has been consuming my brain. But I mentioned this before, I am getting back into the reading game because I do feel like we all spend too much time on our phones, just like mindlessly swiping. And I was just like, Lisa, I need something to like sort of ground me and like meditate, and like I can actually meditate, but sometimes I have trouble doing that. I just need something like to turn off, and for me it's like getting into a really good book, and I allow myself to dive in, and like, you know, even if it's just 20 minutes, all my focus is on a book, and it seems to really calm me, and I really enjoy it, and I give myself permission to take that time. It's like a little self-love time. Anyhow, I was asking you guys for suggestions for books, and oh, so I actually screenshotted a lot of your suggestions because I was really interested, and I love how passionate y'all are. And I was mentioning that the last book I read, which was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, was really fun, but it was a little too like light of a murder mystery for me. It was like a cute murder mystery, and then I wanted something like more spicy or suspenseful. And so I reached out also to a friend of mine who reads like incessantly, and he reads all the same kind of stuff that I do. He like says, he's like, I'm like a 40-year-old woman when it comes to my taste in books. And so he had given me a bunch of suggestions, which if I can remember, I'll leave down below, or if you're interested, I can put the list up on Instagram. Anyhow, I like, he kind of explained a few of them to me, and I looked up some of the reviews, and we landed on which book I was going to read next. So I was out and about at I was at the bookstore. So I was like, I'm gonna go in and get it, because it's gonna take too long if I order it, and also I just love going into the bookstore. And so I was trying to find, I was in the fiction section, I was looking for this book, and looking, and I can't find it, and I'm like so sad that I can't find it. I'm like, oh, maybe like, I don't know, maybe it's not as popular, they don't carry it, I'm gonna have to go ahead and order it after all that. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's in the YA section, and I couldn't like find the YA section, because before I have been looking, there had been times before where I was like looking for a certain book, and then I would go and ask them, and they're like, oh, it's in the YA section, and then I kind of feel silly, but also do I care, because a lot of YA books are kind of awesome. So I was like, it's probably in the YA section, but it looks like they moved everything around. Let me just like go ask, because this is taking too long. So I go up, and the minute I say the name of the book, the guy helping me like knew what it was, and he's like, oh yeah, and he like types it in, and he goes, oh, it's in the horror section. I was like, say what? He's like, yeah, it's a new section we just put it up. It's like horror section. Usually it was just fiction, and then I feel like they did have like one other like similar offshoot, but they hadn't had a literal horror. I don't think it was called horror murder. It was just like was it? It was just like a horror section. And like, when I tell you the level of excitement I felt when I found that out, and then when he like walked me over there, and then when I was like, yeah, the book I'm looking for is in the new horror section, I was like really, really thrilled. And then I was like a little taken aback. I was like, Lisa, why are you into this? This is so dark. Like, you are in the darkest section in the bookstore, and you're excited about it. Like, what does that say about you? And I feel like it's very antithetical to who I am as a person and what like other interests I have, generally speaking. Like, I'm talking about The Bachelor, and I love to go see the cheesiest of happiest of musicals. I'm all about peace and love. Why, when it comes to books, do I love like the darker the better? Please, somebody explain this to me. Also, question number 2, do you have any like hobbies, interests, categories of things? Like, for instance, movies, not really interested in horror movies. I'll watch them, and because Jeff likes them, I'll watch them, and it's like kind of fun, but I'm not like super drawn to them, and I'm not really into like the gory stuff. I definitely like a suspense novel more than anything, or well, I like a suspense novel, but like a suspense movie in terms of scary stuff. I do like psychological thrillers, and I think this book that I'm reading, I think it's psychological, although now that I'm realizing, I think my friend did say it was a little gory, which is probably why it was in the horror section. So maybe I really am more of a suspenseful kind of gal, psychologically suspenseful. But anyways, what kind of content are you surprised by, whether it be books, movies, TV, that like you're really into but doesn't really fit the rest of the mold when it comes to stuff that you typically like? That's a really long-winded, kind of convoluted question, but I feel like if you got to this point, you understand what I'm saying. Yeah, it's so crazy, and I'm so just like, wait, Lisa, what? I guess I do like I don't even really, I like crime shows, I guess, but I don't even really like real life stuff anymore. I just feel like, the world is so scary and crazy, and like, I just like need a break from it. But for some reason, when it comes to fiction, I just love this stuff. It's just fun, and like, I don't know. I don't know if you have an answer for why we're drawn to this stuff. I would love to know. Anyways, I did pull out the book so I can show you. I just started it. It's called The Final Girl Support Group, a novel by Grady Hendrix, in the horror section. Just started, but it's just like a fun, easy read. Fun, just a fun murder read. Anyways, I just had to share that because I was a little taken aback by myself at the sheer joy of finding out the book was in the horror section. That being said, I love the bookstore. You can support your, I will leave the link to that on Amazon, but if you can support your local bookstore, even better. Guys, I need to reach back here, but I feel like you're getting a full butt shot. What do you think? Yes, just pajama bottoms on the bottom. Do you remember this sweater? I like wish I would have thought about pulling this out sooner in the winter season. I think I got this from Ledden? Somebody else who watches my hauls also got this and sent me a picture. Was it that, or was like another like random website that I did a couple of sponsored try-ons for, and this was like my favorite one that came out of it. Just cute. Anyhow, that is my random thoughts for today and for the week. I will be going to Costco this week, so stay tuned if you want to see what the latest and greatest is at Costco. Actually, question number 3, what are you most interested in terms of stuff at Costco? Is it the food that does it for you, or is it the clothes, home accessories? What are you interested in seeing and learning when I go in there? I'm happy to do that research for you. Also, I've been kind of itching to go to the dollar store, which my mom will be thrilled to hear. Hi mom, you want to go to the dollar store? Because I've been, for some reason in my sub box, or not sub box, like suggested page on YouTube, I'm getting so many like Valentine's Day, like fun Valentine's Day hacks and things from the dollar store, and I'm ready. It's almost February, and if you saw my Target haul, I'm already diving in to all things Valentine's Day. It is my aesthetic all year long, but I can really like go strong now, and so I kind of wanted to head over to the dollar store to see what was up over there and see if we can find any fun stuff. So let me know if you want to see that, and if there's anywhere else that you want me to shop from, certainly let me know. Still got some towels back there, but you know, I promise I will do them if you promise to do yours. So the 3 questions, as you in case you forgot, first question was, what reality TV show are you just like gaga for and like willing to put in the time and the effort on? 2, what sort of genre and or like hobby, book, movie, what kind of like weird subcategory are you into that doesn't really fit your normal style, your normal aesthetic, your normal likes? And 3, what do you want, or what are you most interested in seeing in terms of product at Costco? Let me know. Love you guys so very much, and I look forward to spending yet another week with you. And in case you missed it, I did put the full episode of my interview with Jessie Badafugo, my best gal pal, one of the funniest people I've ever met, and she is seriously a great storyteller. So that is up, went up yesterday, so check that out if you haven't already. Love you guys very much, and I will see you tomorrow. All right.